Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Gonna get into some bite down boxing talk. I told you, or I mentioned in the previous video, man, I traveled to Ann Arbor yesterday for the Michigan and Ohio State game. So some of the stuff that I'm talking about, man, I really didn't even want to do videos for it. I would have just written articles about it and just kind of kept my mouth shut. But with the time on the road, seeing the action, you know, watching it and not having my laptop on and not really just after traveling, a disappointing outcome in the Michigan game. I just didn't feel like writing. So anyway, man, I'm just talking through a couple of things that I noticed, some observations. Feel free to disagree with me. Or say I don't know what the hell I'm talking about or whatever. But just a couple of thoughts. Damn, good play. I wanted to come back and touch on the final the main event of the ESPN Plus card with Oscar Valdez and Adam Lopez. Horrific ending by referee Russell Moore, which handed a 7 round TKO to Oscar Valdez, who was dropped in the second round by Adam Lopez. I just wanted to say one thing that I noticed about Lopez's game that was impressive to me compared to kind of what we saw in the co-main event with Tyler McCreary versus Carl Frampton. I went to a boxing class once. I did some training, fitness training. But then I did end up with another trainer who was getting some guys ready for some club shows and whatnot. But anyway, but we've heard the thing before that boxing is simple. Just keep it simple. And one thing that I felt like Adam Lopez gave himself a great opportunity to win that fight and at least got some respect early on from Oscar Valdez was whenever he went inside and did some stuff. When he went to exit, he threw like a jab to the chest and to the chest and then to the body. And when he went to exit, and he was within range when he did that, and he landed solid jabs and was just touching Oscar Valdez and kind of pausing him or not allowing him to leap forward with something as he was backing out. And I just felt like I felt like that helped him establish his offense and to get off to the good start that he got off to. Whereas in comparison, Tyler McCreary, even though he had that length advantage, he was jabbing from the outside and not really committing to the jab and making sure that he was touching Frampton and that he was accumulating any damage or setting up the right hand. It was just flicking it out there. Now, Frampton, the dynamics are different there. Valdez and Frampton, different fighters. Lopez and McCreary, different fighters. But again, I felt like that's just what kind of led to Frampton getting confident to step forward and really start going to work on McCreary. But anyway, I really like that part of Adam Lopez's attack, was to get in, do some work, and then get out, touch before he got out, reset, do his turning and making Valdez miss and then Lopez was comfortable inside and mid range and outside, so he had a lot of things in his favor. But anyway, Valdez basically got a little desperate after the knockdown, and went to really hunt Lopez down, and Lopez gradually just had a moment where his game plan lapsed. He had a lapse in applying it, and that's when the first knockdown happened with the big left hook. He got up from that, and like I said in my tweet, Mora was looking right in. He's looking right in Lopez's eyes while Valdez is attacking him and trying to finish him. And then he, Lopez comes off of that and gets to his right and was trying to reset, and then Moore just stepped in and waved off the fight. And I think that's unfortunate. But like I said, it was one of those moments where a guy was being, who was under attack, and the guy, the opponent was closing in on him quickly and with bad intentions. But earlier in the night, you saw how Carlos Adames was completely out of it, had no response to Bird's questions after he got up in the seventh round. Didn't even know what it was, totally, impaired. But he ended up going on and finishing out his fight. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll see what I'm interested in seeing more of Lopez, man. He had an interesting game about it. Let me quickly get on to the DAZN card with Alexander Besputin against Besputin-Butaev, as well as in the co-main, I believe, was Cecilia Braekhus and Victoria Bustos. Let's start with the ladies. Braekhus looks and moves like she's 38. And I don't necessarily mean that she's sustained a lot of wear and tear and she's broken down now. I'm just saying, after all of these title defenses, all of those training camps, just all the wear and tear of being a fighter, all of the sparring that goes into that and everything. Earlier in the fight, maybe the first 5, 6, 7 rounds, in my opinion, she just looked older. She did get it going a little bit later, and I saw some more fluidity in her movement and whatnot. But a lot of times, man, she would throw that right hand and, overhand right or a bigger right hand and just stand there, head straight up, and was just getting hit with different shots. And I just think they covered that well. And, if she's going to fight Katie Taylor or, step it up, I mean, it makes no sense at this point to even mention Claressa Shields. But if she's going to fight somebody a little more active, more skilled, I just really see her having problems. She took out Victoria Bustos with like a sustained beating, of a career. I think they said career lightweight, and that's what was a bit concerning for me, is that Braekhus is on this pedestal in the women's game, but ever since things have really started heating up and we've been seeing more women the last couple of years, Braekhus really, in my opinion, hasn't led the way in creating exciting moments and advancing the women's sports with her selection of opponents. Women's boxing, I'm sorry, with her selection of opponents. I just haven't seen it. And now, if she is in fact going to challenge Katie Taylor, moving over to DAZN for some fights and whatnot, we will see. But I really think, and I think Taylor might even be slowing down just a little bit. I think she's like 32 or something. So, like I said, man, all of this training, the sparring, working your way through the amateurs and all of that stuff, and depending on, I won't even say the other part, but Braekhus just really didn't really overly impress me. That's just how I felt. She won the fight 99-91 and 98-92 on 2 cards. Basically, each round was kind of the same story. She got that knockdown in the 6th or 7th round with the left hook underneath the ear that wasn't called a left hook. I mean, a knockdown. I thought that was a little unfortunate, but Bustos, it does give her Braekhus a mutual opponent with Katie Taylor. Make what you will of that. We'll see what happens in the future. Moving on to the Besputin and Butaev fight. The interesting thing here for me was I really felt like there's not a lot of buzz with the Egis Kavaliauskas, with him being the next opponent for Bud. But both of Kavaliauskas and Besputin had a recent mutual opponent that I think kind of separated, for me, I kind of was leaning towards, I'd rather see Besputin get that shot, but Besputin is not ranked in the top 15 of the WBO. But Juan Carlos Abreu pretty much showed me that Kavaliauskas does not have the boxing skills to really match up with and make an interesting fight with Terrence Crawford. That's just my opinion. Besputin, in my opinion, is a little undersized. I feel for the division for welterweight. He's not a bigger welterweight, and so I don't know how that really challenges Crawford either. But I do think coming out of this fight right here, man, I will, and even in the Abreu fight, there's more levels, there's more boxing in his game than what I see in Kavaliauskas. So, like I said, at one point, and then I think looking out into the future or listening to what Bob Arum has said, it looks like that's what could be getting lined up for Terrence Crawford in the future is a fight with Besputin, and then giving Juan Carlos Ramirez some time to work out his unification. He has a mandatory, I think, coming up, then possibly a fight with Taylor, and then possibly, coming up to 140 to welter. So, anyway, we are getting Mean Machine. And like I said, anyway, that's already happening December 14th. But looking at this fight right here, man, Besputin, I like what I saw, man. Like you can see hints of the Vasily Lomachenko influence, moving over to that right side a lot with the different change of direction and kind of trying to control his man with staying on that shoulder. I like that everything that he does is kind of tight. It's kind of tight and quick. And there's no flashiness to him and whatnot. Looking through some notes, though. Like I said, just an all-around boxer, man. I thought he looked a lot better against Butaev. Butaev was rugged. I like to see Butaev in the future against, I mentioned earlier, these guys that they're finding for Jaron Ennis, I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like Butaev in there with Ennis. I don't know what he does offensively, but the physicality that he has, his spirit to compete is something that I think I would like to see against Ennis. And then with him, being over a Russian, I don't know who he's associated with or who he's aligned with, but it seems like one of those kind of free agents out there that could be brought in to face a guy like Ennis. So that's just my... Until we see what Ennis's next opponent is in January and what the path forward is for Ennis, that's kind of where I am with what I saw out of Butaev. But, yeah, man, Besputin was in and out, change of direction, quick turns. Butaev spent most of the fight trying to catch up with him. He was catching him at times with the uppercut inside with the right hand. He would catch Besputin in between movements, and he would catch him either in the body or under the chin with the left hook. But he just, he definitely wasn't landing in combinations. He got a little frustrated, tried to get more physical, and was just trying to find ways to rough up Besputin and slow him down. I said in round 5, he countered. He had a right hook where he countered Besputin and really had an effect on him, did some damage along the ropes. That was a good moment for him. He had another similar counter right uppercut in the 4th round. I said 3, 5, and 6. Besputin did great in rounds 3, 5, and 6, although he probably lost that 5th round. He was getting out to great starts. It seemed like, in football, you have your first 12, your first possession is the scripted plays. He looked like he came into each round with a certain sequence or combination that he wanted to get off, and he would have some success with that. But Butaev was coming back in the second half of the rounds or later in the round and kind of making it interesting. I'm trying to see where I had that cut, where I noticed the cut on Besputin, energy, right hook early by AB Circly. But yeah, even through into the seventh round, I just had that Besputin was circling around with great footwork and movement, rarely letting Butaev get his feet set so that he could land anything significant. Later in the fight, he started moving outside, working from the jab, right hook to the body. I really loved his body work, mixing in combos at times, just really being a better boxer than Butaev with more than just a single punch at a time. Big exchange in the ninth. Trying to find. Oh, in round 10, I had where Besputin's eye was really bloody. He had to cut running along the top. I mean, along the eyelid, and then one in the over the bridge of his nose going vertically. So, he got damaged, inside with some of the physicality of Butaev, but never really faltered. Just outboxed him. But like I said, Butaev, he pressed the whole time. His pressure was good. But like I said, man, he just never could put enough punches together to really to get Besputin out of there. And basically he was just a one punch guy. To cut this short, to get out of here with this thought, it ended up being 116, 112 on all three cards. I was trying to see if I marked any knockdown. I don't think there was a knockdown, but Besputin went down a couple of times from some of the extracurricular activity from Butaev. So again, like I said, man, coming out of that fight, I walked away that if in fact we do see Crawford down the road, if he gets by Mean Machine December 14th, I do foresee. And maybe this regular title helps with with that bout being made, being that Besputin won't be ranked by the WBO, but I think that's about the only options that we could really see from for Crawford in terms of interesting opponents. So that's pretty much it, man. Like I said, I wish, and even. Early yesterday, you saw the tweet out there from Bomac, from Crawford's trainer, kind of making some comments towards Besputin and saying, you got a junior strap of some kind and whatever, but bring that behind here and we'll bust you up, whatever. So you kind of see seeds getting planted for that showdown because of the fact that there are really no great options out there for immediately. There's nothing that Top Rank really calls the shots on in terms of working with others. So again, man, let me get on out of here. Just a little bit of bite down boxing, man. Basically that's it. Don't let them count you out. Peace, man. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Like I said, creating those moments and memories with the fam. And back to it tomorrow. We have arrived at one of the best fights of the year, one of the biggest fights of the year. Tomorrow I might do a discussion on the what's it called? The One Night, I believe is what they called it. The Zone's video for not promotional video for the rematch, Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Anthony Joshua 2. Maybe I'll do a reaction to that and just get into some fight week coverage. On obviously the biggest fight to close 2019. So again, man, let me get on out of here. Peace.